So we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Let's get this John chapter 5 and verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. But another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Come over here, what I was. Proverbs 23. Yeah, Proverbs 23 and 19. Hear you, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. Does anybody remember what that word for God was? That we looked at it last night. Does anyone recall it? Does it come to anyone's mind?
I heard it said
I'm glad you were able to deduce that. I appreciate that. We started at 19. Anybody remember that word for God? And he says, my son, hear you, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. No, it had a Sean in it. Anybody recall going once, twice? The word was a shar. And remember, it means to go straight and to walk, to lead on, to set right. Also to be called blessed. Remember, you had the Aleph, the Shan, and the Rosh. So we see that if it's the Rosh, you're just going to say Yahusha, Shalom. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. That's good to hear. You know that Yahusha pairs the strength. So when you guide your heart in the way, you're guiding your heart in the strength. Remember, because we talked about in Isaiah 52 and 1, when he said, awake, awake, and do what? Put on your strength and your beautiful garments. Now, we talked about a beautiful garment, and I made mention of it. Let's look at this Job 29, I believe. That's a real odd name that they got on this bottle. The niggas call it Beat It Back. Job 29 and 13. That's beet juice. Yes, there's a vegetable called beets, and that's just the juice form of beets. Okay. Matter of fact, back that up a little bit. Job 29 and 4. We'll do it like that. Job 29 and 4. It says, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of Elohim was upon my tabernacle. Now that's something we discussed, and I did mention for Tavon that we'll talk about the differences between a transgressor, a sinner, and a wicked person. Does anyone recall who knows the definition of a wicked person? No. I'm talking about the actual definition for the word in Hebrew for wicked. We read them at the end last night. A completely disagreeable person, an evil person. Does anybody, and that word is raw, like you just mentioned. Does anybody remember the word for sinner? What that means? If you don't remember the word, that's cool. But the definition for sinner. Someone who is in condemnation because of offense. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand the difference. A wicked person is completely disagreeable and evil. A sinner is someone who is in condemnation because of offense. They're an offender. That's why when I mentioned it last night, when you read in the Gospels and you hear say, you notice that who did Yahushua say he came to save? Sinners. He never said he came to save the wicked. He always said he came to save sinners because these people were in danger of the condemnation. These people are offenders. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean? See, matter of fact, I'm trying to think. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think I'm gonna have to. So pause. Don't worry about Job 29. Come to Psalms 51. I'm gonna focus on the center part right now, because the center part is going to be responsible for what the main verse that we're gonna look at this afternoon. I want you to come to Psalms 51 and 1. Psalms 51 and 1. It says, have mercy upon me, O Elohim, according to your loving kindness, according to the multitude of your tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Do y'all remember the verse that I mentioned in Luke 18? Huh? When I mentioned about Luke 18, the Pharisee and the other dude. And the other dude was like, he smote his breast and he wouldn't even lift up his eyes to heaven. And he said, Elohim, be merciful to me, a sinner. Well, his words is congruent with what you see right here. See, a lot of people, sins are never going to be forgiven because they will not even acknowledge that they're an offender. Have y'all ever heard of, matter of fact, I read it last night when we read Isaiah 57. He said he dwells in the place with the contrite ones. Do y'all know what the word contrite or contrition means? Are y'all familiar? I'm talking about the English definition, not the Hebrew definition. Have y'all ever heard that word used before? That he was contrite or he showed contrition. Yeah, that's showing repentance and remorse for behavior. You know what I'm saying? Remember what Yahuwah said? Be ashamed. See, you can't ever be ashamed. Well, number one, it's just like what Lil Mike saying, yeah, I tell lies all the time. Where does that come from? When you look in Proverbs, what it is, 28 and 13 or 29 and 13, and he say, you know, he that covers his sin shall not prosper, but he that confess and forsake will have mercy. That's why you had to confess your sins, because all you're doing is confessing your offenses. You're confessing offenses because you have no desire to continue to offend. That's why he say standing, you know what I'm saying, stand in awe and sin not and commune upon your own bed. Because there's a difference. There's mercy for sinners. It's probably not any mercy for a wicked person because they're disagreeable. They'll never agree with Yahuwah ever. And if you can't agree with Yahuwah according to Hebrew, what couldn't happen? If you're completely disagreeable to Yahuwah, then what would that prevent you from being able to do? That is correct. But I'm looking for a particular Hebrew word for it. You can't be a cod with him. You can't be one, which is the correct answer what y'all stated about having the spirit. Because if you have his spirit, then you would be what? He would be in you, and you would be in him, and you would be a cod. You would be one. Someone who's wicked, that could never happen. See, if people understand the difference between the three, then you wouldn't waste your time dealing with certain people and trying to convince them of certain things, because you'll be able to know the difference between a wicked person, a transgressor, and a sinner. Most people in the earth are wicked. Yeah, you're estranged from the womb. He said the wicked are estranged from the womb. They come out the womb telling lies. That's a wicked person. Ain't nothing you can do for them. He said they come out the womb, they just horrible. Some of y'all know a lot of wicked people. Why do you think in Psalms 101 he said, I will not know a wicked person? He said, I'm not going to know a disagreeable person. Never said he wouldn't know a sinner. Didn't say he wouldn't know a transgressor. He said, but the wicked though, he said, I ain't going to know none of them. You know why you're not going to know any of them? Because you wouldn't be able to agree with them. Let me ask y'all this here. Have y'all ever had contact? Go ahead, Darius. I had to look the word up again because I forgot. But God, yeah, indeed. And that's somebody who is treacherous, a slanderer, someone who's deceitful. You know what I'm saying? Which also could get you. That's why he said also in Isaiah that he said y'all were transgressors from the womb. Basically, you were slandering and telling lies, and that goes to blaspheming this man's name and taking his name in vain. Because when you transgress those commandments, to transgress the word for the most part, a lot of the sins that you have to commit, for the most part, you have to do it in a treacherous fashion. You know, adultery is a treacherous offense. Stealing is a treacherous offense. Murder, for the most part, is a treacherous offense. You know what I'm saying? And also it takes you to slander, which is why all those people in Matthew you would turn around and you would look at them and say that they were transgressors because they used slander and deceit to kill Yahusha. That's why it was easy for them to damn themselves. So always remember, it's a difference between the three. And out of the three, the biggest one who has hope are the sinners. You know what I'm saying? And most brews don't understand that there is a difference between, and then of course, number 4. We didn't talk about number 4. And that's the workers of iniquity. And them niggas are the classification all to themselves. Because the workers of iniquity, you can't do nothing with them. Because they lawless. Because what did Yahushua say? Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. So a person who is a worker of iniquity, they have no standard whatsoever. To put it in layman's general terms of what we used to, what niggas say go on in Hollywood, them niggas would be considered to be workers of iniquity. Because they're lawless. They have no laws. To put it simply, they would be followers of Aleister Crowley's credo of do as you will. Just do what you want to do. Even in some other religions that are false, they have a standard and code of ethics that they're supposed to live by, which would make them transgressors. You know what I'm saying? Or make them wicked, depending on what religion they're in. Not much of a difference.
I was looking at a wicked person.
Not much of a
Some wicked people got more.
Yeah, some people, you have some people who they'll feed the poor. You know what I'm saying? They'll clothe people, but they disagreeable to Yahuwah as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just being evil, it's just being disagreeable. Because they may look at Yahuwah's standard and say, I don't want nothing to do with that in regards to dress or regards to what days of worship that they have. But certain things like having mercy, that's why he say, we did great, wonderful works in your name. And he gonna say, you were lawless, you get away from me.
Even though they see that's what it says, they gonna disagree with that.
And do what they want to do.
Versus the nigga who lawless don't even acknowledge it at all whatsoever.
Yeah, he could care less. You know what I'm saying? You want to hit a goat? Let's hit a goat. You want to rob a nigga? Let's rob a nigga. You know what I'm talking about? You want to steal? Let's steal.
They pick and choose what they want to do, and they disagree to the stuff that they don't want to stop doing.
Absolutely.
They see that as right.
Absolutely. A lawless person just do what they want to do. Not even have a conscience. They just will not agree with the complete standard. You know what I'm saying? They're pick and choosers. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, it's kind of like what he said in Isaiah 48. You profess the name of Yahuwah, but not in righteousness and in truth. You know, most people are wicked, and then after that, most people will be right behind that. Wicked people and workers of iniquity are neck and neck, only because the lawlessness in the earth is increasing to the point where people don't feel like they have to serve anything. You know what I'm saying? And then, reason why I say it's not as many sinners, and this is all personal opinion, because this is all speculation, because those are the ones who have hope for salvation. And relative to the whole population, the people who are going to be saved is going to be lesser than the people who aren't. You know what I'm saying? Sinners have hope for salvation because they're just offenders. These are people who, and matter of fact, let me read it. 2 Corinthians chapter 7. See, this is how a sinner will feel if that word prick him in the right spot. 2 Corinthians 7 and 8. It says, though I made you sorry with a letter, I do not repent. Though I did repent, for I perceive that the same epistle have made you sorry, though it were but for a season. Now, that was going by what I was mentioning last night. Because we live in a society now, and I'm speaking more so in America and not overseas, where people are entitled and people are not as harsh and direct and honest and reproving people, that niggas are mentally weak and soft. So if you say something that they don't like, niggas get in it. I'm talking about women. I'm talking about grown men too. I expect a woman to get emotional if you chastise her. You know what I'm saying? Because they're emotional creatures. So they're just going to react emotionally for the most part and not really pay attention to anything you said. So you would have to take your time to be able to impart that in a gentle fashion, because that's a woman. I expect that. I shouldn't have to do that with a grown man. I shouldn't have to do that with a grown man. A grown man should be able to take chastisement, take it on the chin, and go about his business and correct himself. And that usually comes because you're not raised by men. Niggas is raised by simps. Some woman that took your daddy testicles and put it in her purse. It might have been your mammy. You know what I'm talking about? Your mammy might have took your daddy testicles and shot and dropped it in his purse. And that nigga been neutered or spayed, whichever one it is, for the entirety of his life. That's a neuter. I'm not sure. I just remember that from Bob Barker. Get your pet spayed or neutered. You know what I'm saying? Never knew which one was which. Never knew which one was which. But I remember Bob Barker. I wonder if he's still alive. Because they say Bob Barker was hitting on the women on the prices, right? Trying to sleep with him. He would give them the right price. Shoot, but that's where that comes from. Because if you raised by a strong male figure, then he'll give you tough love and he'll tell you about yourself. When you don't really have that, you'll get offended very, very quickly when things are not said to you to your liking. But you're supposed to be a man. You're supposed to take that. Do y'all recall this? I just imagine how Yahuwah berated people in this word. And I ain't talking about berated in an angry sense, like being disrespectful and this, that, then the third. But he told people about themselves. Do y'all remember? I'm trying to think of the king. I can't recall his name. Remember, he sent that prophet to him and asked him, why you doing what you doing? He said, nigga, who you think you is? Nigga, I'm going to kill you. And that's when the dude said, I have discerned that Yahuwah is determined to slay you. Because he didn't want to listen to him. He didn't want to hear nothing he had to say. And that's how usually people be. And that's usually, and you can say that king was a wicked man because he was disagreeable. See, but even if you, go ahead. It might be. No, because they killed Zechariah. It was another dude. Zechariah stood up in front of all the people. Yeah, he had him killed, but it was a particular prophet. This prophet didn't get killed. He just told him I should kill you. And he said, I know that Yahuwah has determined to kill you. Matter of fact, let me find it. Come over here to 2 Chronicles chapter 25. It was Amaziah who I was referring to. 25 and 13. We still got Psalm 51, Job 29, Proverbs 23. He said, but the soldiers of the army which Amaziah sent back, that they should not go with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Yehuda from Samaria even unto Beth-horon, and smote 3,000 of them, and took much spoil. Now it came to pass that after Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, that he brought the gods of the sons of Seir, and set them up to be his gods, and bowed down himself before them, and burned incense unto them. Wherefore the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against Amaziah, and he said unto him, a prophet which said unto him, why have you sought after the gods of the people, who could not deliver their own people out of your hand? And it came to pass as he talked with them that the king said unto him, are you made of the king's counsel? So look at the first thing that he did. He responded as an individual who wouldn't take reproof. Now the main verse that we're going to look at this afternoon is dealing with that. He could not take that correction because he already know he wrong. Muffin, you remember? Should you bow down to other gods? And what did Amaziah just do? He bowed down, so he violated the first commandment. And his response to that was, are you a part of the king's council? So you supposed to give me recommended course and action? No, nigga, you know you ain't supposed to be doing this. You know you wrong. He said, forbear. Why should you be smitten? So he told him to stop talking because he was going to kill him. He was going to smite him. Then the prophet forbore and said, I know that Elohim have determined to destroy you because you have done this and have not hearkened unto my counsel. See, that's what happens when you don't listen to the word. And notice that Yahuwah had already decided that he was going to take this man out. He knew by his response that Yahuwah had hardened this man's heart for his destruction. You know what I'm talking about? Now, why would he do that? Because clearly Amaziah was what? Disagreeable. A wicked individual. There was no place of repentance in his heart. He had no desire to turn because he was a disagreeable individual. But you'll sit back and look at, well, he fought these wars and he did all this stuff, but he didn't do it with a perfect heart. It was never in his heart to do it. And we done talked about that before. Some people start. Yes. Very well. Yes, I know exactly where you are, sir. Thank you for telling me. So come back to 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 9. See, this is what he chose not to do. See, when he got a word to be made sorry, he wasn't sorry. And then you notice when you tell somebody and you correct somebody, the first thing they want you to do is apologize to them for hurting their feelings for a wrong that they did. I'm not apologizing to you, nigga, for what? Ain't that something? That'd be like somebody coming to Yahuwah and say, you killed my brother, even though you said that you punished to the third and fourth generation. You ought to apologize to me. But my brother was out here robbing, stealing, and killing and worshiping idol gods. What you think Yahuwah should have did? You think he should have let him stay here? Because that's how people feel. Y'all know it because y'all know dudes who've been out here committing crimes and they get out here getting killed from living the street life and people be upset with the Most High because this nigga got killed. Well, nigga, what you thought he was going to keep him living? But the first thing what niggas like to scream, you reap what you sow. Nigga love to scream that there. Well, guess what? He reaped what he sowed. He sowed to his flesh corruption, and that's what he reaped. And now he on his way to hell. You know what I'm talking about? And he ain't got nobody to blame but himself. And you want to be mad with the Most High. Don't be mad with him. Don't be mad with him. He brought that on himself. He said, now I rejoice not that you were made sorry, but that you sorrowed to repentance. For you were made sorry after a godly manner, that you might receive damage by us and nothing. For godly sorrow work repentance to salvation, not to be repented of, and the sorrow of the world work death. That's the difference. That's the same thing that happened with David. That's the same thing that happened with Manasseh. That was godly sorrow and a reproof. And that sorrow causes you to turn. You know what I'm talking about? See, if you just sad because somebody told you about yourself, then you know that worked death because you're just gonna get up and keep doing it. You're not really concerned with amending what you got going on. Back to Psalm 51. 51. Little children. Yeah, you. Don't try to put your finger in your mouth. Now you want to be quiet, act like you don't know nobody talking to you. I see your style. Mara, you making a mess, sir. I mean, clear the evidence is right there. Psalm 51 and 1. Have mercy upon me, O Elohim, according to your loving kindness, according to the multitude of your tender mercies, and blot out my transgressions. Listen what he say. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. So, can anyone tell me the ways that you can be washed from your sin, cleansed from your iniquity? Can anyone tell me the ways? I'm talking about according to the text. I got 3 verses in my head right now, but if y'all got any more to add to it, by all means. Ephesians 5 and 25, you know what I'm saying? That by washing the water of the word, that he might be presented a house without spot or blemish. Anybody got another? You got what he said in John chapter 15 and verse 3. You are clean from the word that I have spoken to you. I got 2 more in my head. Can you think of any of the places where it's talk about what you be washed from your iniquity? Really got 3 more. Huh? No, because he don't talk about he talking about actual washing. Like in this verse, he say, wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sins. Well, not the Ruach. You can sit back and look, boom. He good. He tough. You know, niggas fall every day, B. You know what I'm saying? Get you some soup, get you some tea. As soon as you said something, he sucked it up. He like, shoot, I don't want to go over there with her. Nael, don't let that boy fool you into destruction and you fall. because you're not going to take it as tough as he did. So the other one that was in my head is in Psalms 119. It said, how can a young man cleanse his way but by your word? The other one is in Revelation 1 and 5, that he washed us clean by his own blood. The other one is in Acts, when it says, now rise up, why tarry you? Go be immersed and wash away your sins. You know what I'm saying? But the key component of it is that word washes the heart. Also, when you look at it in regards to serving in the priest's office, because in the book of Exodus, it said that we'll be a kingdom of priests. And Peter came back in his epistle letter and stated the same thing. Well, the priest had to participate in a particular activity. And this is the last one that was in my mind, and that's in John chapter 13. All the priests had to wash their hands and their feet in a laver of brass. Then they could minister in the priest's office. In John 13, what did Yahushua do? He washed all his apostles' feet. And then what did he make, the statement that he made after he was finished? He said, now all of you are clean, except for one. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that meme or to use it for water, and you look at that word, and the word is ruach, and the word is also considered to be water, and you look at that, the Torah of Yahuwah, of the Torah of the wise, delivers from the snares, is a fountain of life to escape from the snares of death, then that living water that comes out of your belly is what cleanses you, and which allows your sin or your offenses to be removed because they're washed away, and therefore you're not caught up in death. Because you got to remember, being a sinner means you're an offender. I don't think anyone in this room was wicked or a transgressor, so to speak. Everyone was an offender. Because most people who are transgressors and sinners, and wicked, they don't stick to the word too long. They don't endure too long. They usually fall into them first two categories in the parable of the sower. They hear it and they don't understand, and he snatch it away, or they don't have no root in themselves. And then by and by, when persecution or tribulation come, they are offended. Most people who are wicked and transgressors don't fall into the deceitfulness of the cares and affairs of this life. That's usually a sinner, because you're distracted in the things that cause you to offend. Because that's what you're desiring to do. We got to look at that, because there's a difference. I ain't been around a whole bunch of people in the word, but I know most of them, they sinners. And I would say, in my personal opinion, looking at the text, that an unbelieving person is wicked. And that's why I can say a good majority of the people I've been across is wicked too, because they don't believe. Reason why I say that, because he called, matter of fact, let me show you why I say that. Hebrews chapter 3. Hebrews 3 and 12. The dude's daughter? I can't recall that. I don't recall a dude having a daughter and he was told to go wash and sin no more. I definitely don't. Y'all willing to come to mind? I don't recall that. Hebrews 3 and 12. Matter of fact, didn't make it 3 and 7. Wherefore, as the Ruach HaKodesh say, today if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in the provocation of the day of the temptation in the wilderness. When your fathers tempted me and proved me and saw my works 40 years, wherefore I was grieved with that generation and said, they do always err in their heart. They have not known my ways. That takes us back to what we were looking at 23 and 19. They're not guiding their heart in the way. You're not keeping your heart straight. You're erring in your heart because you're erring to go off to the left hand and to the right hand, like we read last night. You can't do that. You have to stay on the straight and narrow path. Let me ask y'all a question. Any of y'all ever had a task that you was dead focused on and you didn't complete it because you veered off and didn't keep yourself straight on line on what you were supposed to do? And you have to look at that, because if you let yourself do that in natural things, the right temptation will cause you to do that with the word. You know what I'm saying? You can't let that happen. Because that means your mind's like this here, and you saying I'm going this way, but then you're letting something come to guide you over here and guide you over there. And you know, and the issue is not the diversion. The issue is you ain't had no business going over here or going over there. It's not the part of the distraction. It's the part that you get distracted to do something that you ought not. That is going to be detrimental to the direction that you're supposed to be going. Now, I'm not talking about menial tasks. I'm talking about that this is the way that I'm going. And I'm going to let you tell me, man, we just going to the club and get a drink, and you slide over there with them. I'm supposed to go over here and do this. I need to accomplish this. Well, come over here with me. See, now that I want you to know the difference. I ain't talking about you, but it's still the same token. If you know you got something to do and you need to stay right here to do it, then you should do it. And if somebody asks you to do something and you say, you know what, I need to go over here and do this, and they get mad, they don't fool with you no way. They don't fool with you no way. Somebody who fooled with you and you told them, hey, boy, I got something I need to finish. What is the appropriate response? Well, shoot, holler at me when you finish it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're going to work around what you're trying to accomplish. Why? Because they're invested in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? The desire to whatever they want to do with you is not greater than what it is you say you got to do. But if a nigga get like this here, oh, nigga, you tripping. Man, you could like this, that nigga don't fool with you. See, that's where wisdom come in at, because you should be wise enough to know if a nigga fool with you based off their responses to the most menial things. It's the same difference. Y'all know the trick that he's on, and he say what? If he say, if I ain't got it, I ain't your dog no more. I done seen that before. What nigga seen a nigga had some money. Nigga had some money, but he ain't had no money. And everybody in here know what I mean when I say that. Yeah, you seen he had $5,000 in his pocket, but that money was gone. You know what I'm saying? You asking for it, that nigga mad, now you want to rob him. That ain't your homeboy now, because he didn't give you what you wanted because you felt entitled to it. Now, I've seen that in the street more than regular people. I haven't noticed that too tough with regular people. But in the street, I've seen it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Mainly because you around niggas, you see niggas with cash on hand. You know, this nigga got to re-up. You know what I'm talking about? So, yeah, he did made 5 stacks. But that nigga finna buy some more work. Or he got bills to pay. Or he got this or he got that. And niggas get mad. You know what I'm saying? And that's how a lot of niggas end up dead. Or get robbed. I know a lot of niggas who've been robbed because they asked a nigga for something and he told them no. And if that's your dog, he don't owe you no explanation for telling you no. You know what I'm saying? Clearly you ain't got it, because if you did, you would have gave it to me. You know what I'm talking about? But niggas don't feel that way. It's this simple stuff like that. Y'all should already know. But yeah, you got something to do, you should open your mouth and not try to please people. If you know it's something, that's where people get in trouble. What did Paul state when he told them people what? He said, if I was a pleaser of men, I wouldn't be what? A servant of a Mashal. I can't please Elohim and you. Somebody gonna be disappointed, and that's gonna be you. You know what I'm saying? If it come down to me and Yahuwah, or you and Yahuwah, you losing every time. Because I got to stay here, and you have to sit back and look at that. If you got a family, it's something you got to do, and you got to say this, hey, your homeboys, your people asking you to do this here. Well, mama, I can't do that today. Pops, I got to get back with you on the next one. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that today. And if they can't respect that, then their whole perspective is whack. You know what I'm saying? There's something wrong with you. Why would you want me to put you before what's the most important thing? That is retarded. Is that what the Torah teaches? Does the Torah tell you to do that? I'm talking to you with the hefty baby. He don't look it. He looked like he lighter than what he looked. Is he lighter than what he looked? I don't know. He ain't got your big old head, so he looked like he kind of light. Huh? I'm not being funny though. They looked up. He got your face, but he ain't got your head though. He got Darius' head on this go round. How you look? He do too. But who head he got? He definitely got that same face. Yeah, because you ain't know no better. You ain't had nobody to tell you no better. I'm saying like yeah, he said that, but yeah, I'm saying because you ain't know no better. You were young. It's to be expected. And that's all you knew. You know them like that. They had that influence over you because of reason of time and intimacy. So I can see that. And you were young. So when you're young, you easily persuaded. You know what I'm saying? Only way when you're young, you're not easily persuaded is if you just, for lack of a better term, got a stubborn mind that whatever I say that that's what I'm finna do, and I don't care what you say. You know what I'm saying? And everybody don't think like that, and there's nothing wrong if you don't. Who that? And that's a good thing to a certain extent. Yeah, once he's made his mind up that that's what he's gonna do, he's not gonna be persuaded to do anything different. I'm the same way. You can ask me to do something. If I tell you no, you can ask me 1,000 times, and I'm just telling you no. I'll never be persuaded to do something that I don't want to do. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. I've always been like that, though. If I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. That's why if somebody tells me they don't want to do something, I'm not asking you again because I don't like it when people do me like that. And I don't need an explanation from you if you say, nah, I don't want to do it or I can't do it. Well, that's cool. It's not a problem. It's not, you're not obligated to do so. You know what I'm saying? The only time somebody obligated to hearken to your request is when you're married. And that's it. Outside of that, ain't nobody obligated to hearken to what you asked them to do. Yeah, unless you're at your people's house. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, you're not obligated. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what people get it messed up at. Oh, you got to have a strong mind like that, especially out here in this world. Your mind better be that strong. But I say you a woman, so it's easy. You know, women y'all are followers by nature, so y'all can between men and women, y'all usually going to be easier influenced by your peer group. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all they don't want to feel left out. You want to be a part of things more than anything. Y'all like to please people. It's in your nature to keep people happy. And most women destroy themselves because they try to keep everybody happy. And you can't keep everybody happy. You know what I'm saying? The main people you need to keep happy is your husband and your children. And let everybody else fall where they fall. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a given. But if you're keeping your husband happy, if you're keeping your husband happy and your children happy, then shoot, he going to be happy because you doing what he asked you to do. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'll guarantee you your life would be a lot stressful and more peaceful if you just focus on pleasing who needs to be pleased. You know what I'm talking about? Because once you get married, shoot, better tell your mammy, your grandpappy, you know what I'm talking about? All them niggas who, this nigga take care of me and he do my body right. I'm going home. I'm going home. You know what I'm talking about? I don't care what y'all talking about. We need you to come over here and do this here for the family. Who? I'm no longer a part of that family. I'm part of the house of such and such. I'm called by his name. He's calling. Straight up, though. I mean, you have to make that delineation. That's why the book said a man leave his father and mother's house and cleave to his wife. And that's why he said the wife is called by her husband's name, because I don't care about your natural family. That's not your family anymore. You don't carry their name anymore. So that's what y'all got going on over there. No, what the understanding is you got to tell them, I got my own family. Click. Stop talking and reasoning with niggas. That's where you mess up at. You try to reason with them. If you say they don't understand, that means you reason. Shoot, they'll stop talking after a while. I hang the phone up in your face. I done told you already. Click. No, I'm just talking about anything. Period. Most reason why most people don't respect that boundary for two reasons. They either don't have somebody or they miserable. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody who has somebody and they're happy, or they have a purpose that they're focusing on that may not necessarily correlate with being with somebody, then they not bothered by that. Oh, 2 Kings chapter 5? Okay, I got you. You know what I'm saying? They're not necessarily worried about that. You know what I'm saying? Because they got their own stuff going on. So they're not going to want to cross that. Or people who just have respect. You know what I'm saying? If somebody have respect, they're not going to ask you to put them above your family. They're not going to ask you to do that. And we live in a culture now where there's no respect for those type of things. You know what I'm saying? People don't respect that. I'm married, bro. I got to go home to my wife. You know what I'm saying? I got a husband. That nigga like his meals cooked. I'm going to holler at you later. You know what I'm saying? But you have to have the fortitude to leave and cut that off. And if they stop calling you, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to tend to this over here because we're building the house of insert that man's name here. And that is my concern. I'm not building a legacy with you. There's nothing for me to build with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm building something over here. And if I'm focused on you, then the work that needs to be done over here is being laxed. And then what we're working to build cannot be constructed. And this is why Paul said, I can't be a servant of men. I got to be a servant of Elohim. This is why Nehemiah said, I'm on this great wall doing a great work. I can't come down to you and come fool with you. I got to stay over here to do this. And that's men and women. See, y'all don't necessarily have to deal with that. But just imagine if you wasn't that ardent in the word and you would entertain certain things. Nigga be hitting you up. Well, you want to go to the club? Well, we going to such and such, such and such. You know what I'm saying? Because you're usually not family oriented. And when you usually see people who got families, you know who they usually spend their time with? Other people who have families, whether they're in the word or not. On average, for the most part. You don't see a lot of single people who hang with a bunch of people who got families because the things that they need to do or like to do are different. Somebody who got a bunch of kids ain't gonna do the same things as a bachelor. You can't even go to the same places. You don't even have the same free time. Can you imagine yourself now if you had the kids that you got now and when you were younger, when you were doing seeking to do some of the stuff you were doing, just put the word to the side. You think you could have been in the club like you was in the club then? Oh yeah, them whole be in there because they got grandma to drop them churn off too. You know, shoot, that's hot coochie. They drop them churn off. They ain't taking care of them during the week no way. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just using that as an example. You couldn't be able to hang out at your homeboy's house playing Madden, smoking weed all night. You know what I'm saying? Because you wouldn't have that free time. You got to go to work and do this here and do that. Because I would hope, I heard a brother say this here, right? I would hope if you have kids that looking at your kids would be motivation enough for you to get up and do whatever it is that you needed to do. I would hope that would be, I'm talking about the men. I would hope that be motivation enough. I would hope you would not need any outside stimuli to cement your legacy other than just looking at your churn. Especially if you got a son. Nevertheless, Hebrews 3:11. He says, so I swear in my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest. Take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief and departing from the living Elohim. So he calls a heart that don't believe, he calls that evil. So you disagreeable to him when you don't believe in him. See, that's that's why most people are wicked. Because most people don't believe. And in the eyesight of Yahuwah, you're disagreeable to him. Could you agree with somebody who don't believe what you say? So you see how that correlates when you look at that. Because you were really, just sit back and think about it. How many people have you agreed with in your lifetime that didn't believe nothing you said? Matter of fact, let's just reverse it this way. How many people did you agree with who you knew never told you the truth? Ever. You know everything they said was a bold-faced lie. How they lived was a bold-faced lie. Could you agree with them? Could you walk hand in hand with them? Some of you did walk hand in hand with individuals of that sort. It took you a little while before you realized, you know what? I just can't agree with this nigga no more. I can't do this no more. And that's how Yahuwah feel. That's how people who don't believe the word feel when they start walking in it. I can't walk with this dude no more. I don't agree with this. I don't believe this. But back to Psalm 51. I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's just something to consider. 51:3. It says, for I acknowledge my transgressions and my sin is ever before me. So let's look at that word for transgression right here. Now, the first thing for I acknowledge is yada. So he says he knows. That's why I tell y'all, if you say you don't got the ruach, you know why. You know why. Now transgression here is pasha, and that was the other word for it. That is rebellion. So the word for transgression in this verse is pasha, and that is rebellion. So that's a little difference when you're looking at when you transgress because you're rebelling. So how many of y'all rebelled against your parents? Don't lie now. We know you was a rebel. No, we know you was a rebel. A stone cold rebel. Around here, just like this here. Clean your room, Nisha. She jump out the window. She ain't even going nowhere. She just went outside. I'm gonna walk around the block. I don't want to watch this. No, I'm just messing with you. But that goes to that verse that we read in Matthew when he said the one son, he said, go in my vineyard and work. And he said he'd go and he didn't go. That was a transgression because he was rebelling. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's what they always say with teenagers. How many of y'all felt like y'all, in all seriousness, felt like you was a rebellious teenager? You felt like you was rebellious? You look like you was rebellious. Yes, you. You was straight? Little Muffin, you was rebelling? I was in prison, so I thought. It was hard. I was shocked when they come and tell me, she around here and stole mama car. I said, well, what? I said, well, what's going on? My little cousin said too often. Gregory said too often. I already know why Gregory was rebellious. Uncle Greg something else. Uncle Greg worked your nerve. You just rebelled just leave me alone. Jessica said she was. Her attitude was crazy. And the only thing I gave my mama was a hard time. You know, I wasn't rebellious, you know what I'm saying? Only thing my mama didn't like is I smoked a little weed. She didn't care for that. That nigga was throwing pots and pans and all. But they ain't stopped nothing though. Yeah, because what messed up is the upstairs neighbor smoked plenty weed. And me, Big D, and my nigga Baked B in the back smoking a joint. And she tell my mama we back there smoking. You know what I'm talking about? I'm like, how you gonna tell on me and you do the same? You hypocrite. My mama was hot. I ain't raised no pothead. But her concerns is because my granddaddy was a drunk. So she was concerned that there could be an opportunity for impulsive behavior because of that and lead to other things. But I had no desire for alcohol or hard narcotics. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no desire for that. But I feel it though. I told you, my granddad used to get up 9 o'clock in the morning, knocking back fifths of Smirnoff. That nigga get drunk, run out the front door, butt booty naked. I'd be like, boy, what you got going on? You know what I'm talking about? It ain't never that bad. You know what I'm saying? But for him, it was that bad. Yes, I don't want that. And I think you would like to ask one of your parents to clean your face because you are a crumb baby. You're a crumb baby. But let's keep on going though. So remember that, right? You got transgressors. That's somebody who indeed, he do though. He never really said nothing wrong. I just say, well, man, since y'all was living all over the place, he was trying to give us game that we had already learned, and he wasn't realizing that we had already learned it, and we trying to tell him we already learned it, and he wouldn't listen. He slacked up after a while, because I remember Naisha said, boy, Auntie Tony had told him, like she said, see, that's why they don't like to come around here now. Leave them alone. Because now Unc gonna come through and he gonna ask you straight up and down. So what you gonna do with your life? What the plan is? Like Unc was serious about it though. But like little cuz said though, he really got the best in mind. He just don't. But I know why he liked that though, because how he grew up and what he saw. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't want none of us to experience that. That's one of the reasons he joined the army and never came back. Oh, my granddaddy was something else. We didn't see that part of him, but he was something else. That's the reason why my auntie never left my cousin over there by herself. She refused. Because that nigga beat the brakes off of Joanne on a regular basis. And they watched it. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that we were able to come out to be functional and mentally stable individuals is a testament to the strength of our parents. Based off what they seen, the likelihood of us having a functional mind would have been low. Verily. Psalm 51 and 4. He said, against you, you only have I sinned. So notice this. He said, only against Yahuwah has he committed an offense. Remember, what is the one sin he said a man can commit that is outside the body where you sinning against yourself, offending against yourself? Fornication, and also homosexuality. Because you're definitely offending against yourself if you like to be like how Tank is in these days and times. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, more and more dudes is coming out with that because they're comfortable with it now. I never thought in my life I'd ever hear a grown man say, hey man, you suck a penis or two? You're not a homosexual. I never thought I'd ever hear a grown man say that in my life. I was shocked when I heard a grown man say that in prison. I accidentally sucked a penis. We like, nigga, how? How? Explain that to me. I'm not capping. I was at Tallahassee Road Prison. Dude probably about 22, 23 years old. I don't even know how it got to that point. But he was like, he accidentally sucked the penis. And I'm like, nigga, what? I say, so did you stumble, grab it, and it just felt like, how did that happen? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, and then in the back, my next question was, why did you tell us this? Because you should have took that to your grave. You know what I'm talking about? You should have died with that. No one should have ever known that. Because we in prison and you said you did that here. Oh, you were somebody's whore. They were passing you around for tops. Pack a top, you can have this black boy. But did y'all see how matter-of-factly this? I didn't watch the clip, but how matter-of-factly that man stated that? And I was wondering, was he referring to himself or some other man? And the fact that nobody on the panel was even moved or appalled that this nigga talking about he juggle balls. Junk sad, man. And this is what your sons got to deal with out here. He said, against you and you only have I sinned and done this evil in your sight, that you may be justified when you speak and clear when you judge. Notice what he said, that you might be justified when you speak. So that means that let's just look at the words there. So if he justified when he speak, guess what that means? Ain't nothing you can say. And that's what people like to do when they sin. They like to blame somebody. The word for justified is sadat, which is righteous, and word. So when he say justified when you speak, that means, yeah, that word righteous. That means every offense you commit, you show forth that word is righteous. And he say when you be clear, and notice on that one there, for it don't have mishpat on there, it has shafat. So you know what that is. That's the condemnation. That's the execution. He say, behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, listen what he said, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you shall make me to know wisdom. So when he look at that, he desires truth in the hidden parts. You have a mouth right there. Now we're going to look at in the inward parts. Of course, you know you have kafetz for desire, so he delights for faith to be in your heart. That's why he say a heart that it doesn't believe is evil. Now I give you the characters for this. It's Takah. You have Tet, Cotton, Hay. By all means, Tet, Cotton, Hay. What's wrong with you? Huh? Oh, she took your chair. Well, she's just relinquished it. Tet, Cotton, Hay, Tukah, means inner regions, hidden recesses, inward parts.
True separation is saying
And contain, surround, basket, snake. No, you definitely use contain and just being like, shoot. I would just more say the indwelling of Yahushua separates, meaning the indwelling of the Ruach. So when you look at it, he desires truth in the inward part. He desires his son to be in your heart. And the only way that he can dwell there is by faith. Like when we mention that when we pray, that's come from one of them verses, that the love of Hamashiach dwell in your hearts by faith. Because if you believe, and that goes back to what we were talking about Wednesday, when you hear, then the word can enter in your heart. Because he say confession made by man is what's in his heart. See, a lot of people, if you pay attention to some of the people you've been around, they never really confessed that Yahushua was the son of Elohim, or that he was Lord, or that they even believed in him. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't believe it in their heart. That's why they didn't stand firm on it. And it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know I remember this by heart. You can remember song lyrics by heart, and this, that, there, and the third. But you guys supposed to remember that word by heart, and not by heart in the force of reciting, but by heart, and it directs you, or it guides, because that's what's guiding you in the way. That's what's keeping you on a straight and narrow path. Nevertheless, he say, purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which you have broken may rejoice. Hide your face from my sins and blot out all my iniquities, and create in me a clean heart, O Elohim, and renew a right ruach within me. And that's coming into with that godly sorrow of acknowledging what the sin. That's why, and we're leading at this here because this is what's dealing with a sinner. A sinner is an offender, and if you notice what that sinner has done, and based on what David is stating, he made acknowledging of his offense, and that he is sorry for his offense, and on top of that, he's seeking Yahuwah's mercy, and that's what a sinner would do. That's what someone who's committed a transgression will do. But a transgressor and a worker of iniquity and a wicked person, they're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? An unbeliever is not going to do that. Nevertheless, back to Proverbs 23. Grandma, what you making all that ruckus for, Grandma? What they did to you, Grandma? What they did to you, Grandma? They bothering you? They bothering you? Who bothering Grandma? Who bothering Grandma? Come on, Grandma. So when we look at verse 20 of Proverbs 23, when you started sucking your thumb, Grandma? Huh? I don't see nothing funny. You're not a thumb sucking baby. Proverbs 23 and 20. Be not among wine bibbers and among rioters. Okay, now y'all can go and sit down back over there where you was at. Go sit back. You're about to clip that cord. So he said, be not among wine bibbers and riotous eaters of flesh. Who remembers the word for riotous eaters? It was the same word for the drunkard and glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe that man with rags. The same word for riotous eaters, the same word for glutton. Who recalls that word? Anybody remember that word? I'll give you the word. Who can give me the definition? The word was the law. The Zayin and two Lamaz. Worthless. And what does that correlate to for being worthless? I mentioned it last night. The sons of Belial. And remember, he said that what agreement does Hamashiach have with the son of Belial? But he said they'll come to poverty. So we want to look at this word for poverty. And that word is Yarash. And remember, that means to dispossess or to lose an inheritance. Now, we went through everything we went through to get to this point right here. So come back to Proverbs 13 and get you verse 18. Proverbs 13 and 18. Poverty and shame shall be to him that refuse instruction, but he that regard reproof shall be honored. No, 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 Grandma. No, no, no. Let's look at poverty and shame here. Now, the different word for poverty here is Rosh, which is poverty. You have Rosh, Yod, and Shan. So what would you take from that? Rosh, Yod, and Shan. There go your Abba. You can go back to him. Get your hat. Get your hat. Grandma, get your hat. No, you can't take that. I need you to go sit down. Nael, that's yours. Okay, I don't know what that is. We'll take that over there to your sister. Hello, girl. Raj, Yad, and Sean. What would you come up with that? You with the shenanigans. Raj, Yad, and Sean. Now you have to look at this poverty, so you ain't getting paired to nothing good. You'll definitely be consumed on this one because you're getting poverty and shame because you don't regard instruction. And Sean. Raj, Yad, and Sean. Raj is the word. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Let's take a look at that. Matthew chapter 13. Well, that nigga make that. He be making faces like Emmanuel Lewis on Western. He definitely be making that face though. He definitely make a face. Now, Emmanuel Lewis been dead for a while. He definitely make that face, the TV sad face. Yeah, I think he was like 50. He was like 50. Matthew chapter 13, verse 39. It says the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of the world, end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and them which do iniquity, and cast them into a furnace of fire. And there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Now, why are these people, these workers of iniquity? Now, we talk about this here, right? Sinners, transgressors, wicked, workers of iniquity. What is the key component that they're all going to refuse that's going to cause them to get this shame, to get consumed? Is that they don't regard instruction. Now we're going to look at the word for disgrace, the shame, which is disgrace or dishonor. It's cologne. You have a kuf, you have a lamad, you have a u, and you have a nun. Now notice he say refuse instruction. Y'all should remember what the word is for instruction. That's musar, and that's taking correction and reproof, discipline and chastening. So the people who are going to come down and be destroyed are the people who will not be willing to be chastened and be disciplined. What did Yahushua say in Revelation 3? As many as he loved, he chastened and rebuked. We went over it in the past in Proverbs 23 and 23. To buy the truth and sell it not. And also wisdom and instruction and understanding. So he told you to come and possess discipline and chastening. When we look at Psalm 51, what did you think made David be able to make that statement? It had to be the chastening and the discipline that come from Yahuwah for him to confess that. And then we have to take that and look at that on the second half of that verse, which is what's dealing with Yahushua, that because he regarded reproof, he was honored. See, if you don't want to take the reproof and instruction of Yahuwah, then you can't be honored. So poverty and shame is going to come to you. He's going to consume you. When you look at the workers of iniquity, when you look at transgressors, they usually reject the word. We read it the other night in Matthew 21. He said, when they came to the publicans and the harlots, they believed. But when John came to you doing the ways of righteousness, why didn't you believe what he had to say? Because you didn't want to take the correction that he was bringing. You didn't care to hear it. Now, what do you got again? Koof? Get that out. You got Koof, Lamad, U, and Nun. Kuf, Lamar, U, and Nun. So in this one here, because of shame with Lamar, you wouldn't use teacher shepherd. You're going to have to go ahead and use that rod. That staff. I'm going to have to bust you upside your head. You know what I'm talking about? And because I have to bust you upside your head, you know what I'm talking about? I would just sit back, and me personally, and y'all can come on what you got with and say, since you last or final, and I'm looking at this one here as the first shall be last and the last shall be first. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to take this last staff, and it's going to secure this seed. Because this last staff is securing whose seed? The adversary's seed. Because I'm going to get you out of here. You know what I'm talking about? Because you have to be shamed and disgraced. You know, the book tells you in Proverbs 14 and 34 that sin is a reproach to any people. Any sin is a dishonor to any people. You know what I'm saying? That's a dishonorable thing. But guess what we've been taught to be like in this current day and time? To be dishonorable. You don't care about dishonoring yourself. Like I heard a brother, somebody on Instagram shared this clip of this dude talking. He was like, oh, all you hoes prostitutes. Because he said, all y'all talk about is you can only fool with a dude who got some money. Only fool with a dude who could do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? He said it's a price tag on your coochie. And he ain't told no lie. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you ask the average dude feel like all women are prostitutes. Not in the aspect of you actually selling your body, but we were talking about this last night though, but as what dude say that Tiny said on whatever podcast she was on, that her grandma told her not to marry her for love, but for security. The same reason why Chris Rock say no man is only love based off what he can provide. You know what I'm saying? And the average dude, they may not tell a woman that. That's how the average dude feel. That if he ain't had nothing, his woman would be gone. First chance she got. If she could find a better option, she's out of there. You know what I'm saying? It's only I would probably say it's only 1 or 2% of women gonna stay with a dude if he lose everything, he can't do nothing for her. The average woman is gone. You know what I'm saying? We could come with all that romance stuff they try to put out there on TV and the movies, but we know that's not real life. We know that's not real life. You know the average woman is gone. If that nigga can't do this and do that for her no more, oh, she gonna find a nigga who will. All that love conquers all stuff, that's just for the movies. That's not real life. Average woman ain't got that type of fortitude to stick with a nigga like that. I didn't say all. I said the average. Average woman don't got that type of fortitude. And most of y'all friends that women, you know they gonna slide. You know they gonna slide. You know if he lost everything tomorrow, she ain't gonna stay there with him and help him build it back. She gonna complain every day, and then she gonna be mad because he can't do this, and then she gonna run across a nigga and she gonna jump down with him, and he gonna treat her like the dog hoe she is, and she gonna want to come back. And then by the end, he'd have been done built it back, and he was like, "Ho, stay where you at," because you stood stuck around, and y'all know women who done that too. Try to slide back on around that girl. He done fell off. He lost his job. I can't fool that nigga no more. Yeah, she went to find a nigga. That nigga jumped up and down in the guts, left alone. Cuz done bounced back. Now she want to slide back. And Cuz like, no, I'm straight. I'm straight. That's just reality. I done seen that. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. That's the point of what Neil mentioned on women don't love men like men love women. Because a man's not going to go anywhere. If she couldn't have babies, this dude ain't finna leave her alone because she can't have babies no more. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different because the woman ain't taking care of him. But it's also reversed because you got grown women taking care of grown men. You know what I'm saying? So junk be different. This woman pay this nigga bills and buy his drawers. Like, how can a grown man feel comfortable with his old lady buying his drawers? You can't even go to, they ain't cheap though, but you can't even go to Walmart buy you no boxes. You know what I'm saying? So she not gonna respect you, but oh yeah. That nigga lose everything, she's out of there. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
She was
Yeah, but a shoe, it's gonna cause her standard of living to go down. Oh, she's out on average. And years, that nigga doing something she like. Some say, but some women want a man they can dominate and have that leeway. But if she's like this, because I mean, at the end of the day, what Tiny said, it ain't nothing wrong with it. It's just the average dude don't know that that's what women are taught. You know what I'm saying? You thinking they taught to love you for you. No, she's gonna love the nigga who can take care of her. You know what I'm saying? Only dumb hoes want a nigga who can't take care of them or don't even have a desire to take care of them. Because that's one of the ways that a man shows love, because he takes care of you. You think dudes would just be like, you know what? I want to pay all her bills, buy all her clothes, and feed her just because I think she's cool? No, that nigga has to love you. That's a conscious decision a man makes when he say, you know what? I'll take care of her for the rest of her life. Women don't know that they really sit back and realize, oh, this nigga love me. This nigga take care of me. That's why I say if y'all got men who take care of y'all ain't got nothing to complain about. Because you got women who can't get a Russian nickel out they niggas. You know what I'm talking about? They can't get this nigga to pay the light bill, the water bill. You know what I'm talking about? They can't get this nigga to do nothing. And you got niggas who do everything. You ought to be grateful. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all ain't got to be like how you see some of the women posting about, talking about that 50-50 stuff ain't cool. Y'all ain't never had to be concerned with no 50-50. This nigga been taking care of you the whole time. You ain't have to split damn bill. You ever had to split a bill? You ever had to split a bill? That's unfortunate. Muffin, you ever had to split a bill? No, I'm just sitting there to think about that. You ain't gonna have to for long. You don't do right now. Yeah, I know, but I'm good. But right now, that's not the case, is it? And that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at that, that means if a man willing to tell you that's your money, you keep it. I'll pay this and I'll pay that. That man love you. Because I'm trying to tell you, every man in this room tell you, oh, nigga ain't finna drop no money on no random chick. Unless you a simp and a sucker, you gonna be paying random women bills? Come on, man. Oh, she fine, bro. I'm gonna pay that rent. That nigga's a simp. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up. You know what I'm talking about? But if you love her, it ain't even a concern or thought in your mind to take care of this woman. That's not a concern to you. But that's the difference of how men and women love different. You know, women love by nurturing, support. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. And it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be that compliment. Nevertheless, man, I finished this here, man. Let me go over here to Isaiah 66. Ain't nothing wrong with it, man. Just imagine this here. Imagine if you who had told you that you had to break bread with the land. I need y'all to give me half on the land. How would you look at him? And he talking about he love you. And he came and got you from somewhere for you to come live with him. And then he said, I need you to go half with me. Because Yahuwah ain't never lost nothing. We still didn't appreciate it. But the reason why I say that average woman like that is because in this society, you've been taught the wrong thing. Because like I said, now if you take it back in ancient times, you know full well your daddy wasn't finna give you to a nigga who couldn't take care of you. Why would he do that? Let me see. Unless he was a wicked bastard. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm talking about in the construct of now and not antiquity. Because in antiquity, your daddy wasn't finna give you to no sucker if he was a righteous man. If he was a good man. He wasn't gonna do that. He was gonna make sure he come from a good stock, that his daughter was gonna be provided for, because that's how it's supposed to be. That's how Yahuwah set it up. But see, now we dealing in a time where people don't follow Yahuwah. So when I make that statement that the average woman is going to slide, is because their mentality is drastically different. I can't take their mentality out here in the world and compare it to this. I can't do that. That would be foolish. That means if a woman stick around and her mind is not congruent with the word, that means you got a solid chick. Your woman is solid. You know what I'm saying? Most dudes don't even know if they got a solid woman. And then they realize it once they go get them a whore. Once she done slide and now they got a whore. Then they realize I had a good woman. Now they want to go. That's when dudes want to go get their lady back because they were worrying about booty cheeks and titties and all this other type of stuff. And they got a bald-headed hoe and she run them crazy and their life become utterly miserable. And then they want their wife back. You know what I'm saying? I know niggas who that didn't happen to. You know what I'm saying? Like, boy, that whole drug. You supposed to get drugged by a hoe because you ain't supposed to fall in love with no hoe. You ain't supposed to fall in love, period. You ain't supposed to love no hoe. You know what I'm saying? If you fooling with a hoe, just go ahead, knock her back loose, send her home. Don't make her your wife. Don't bring her to your house. Don't ask her to cook your meals. You know what I'm talking about? Because she's a hoe. And she gonna have buzzard luck. And everything she touch gonna fall apart, especially if she's a raggedy hoe. Now, you got high-class hoes. You know what I'm saying? It's probably some hoes at your job. Because they got younger teachers. I'm talking about your job. The reason why I say that, I know it. The reason why I say that, because I remember my homeboy was talking to this chick and she was a teacher. And then, you know, it's not clicking in our brain that the teachers are younger. It's like 8-9 years ago. This is when I realized, like, the teachers ain't like the teachers I had. You know what I'm saying? Because all our teachers were old and decrepit. It wasn't nobody to make you look like, dang, Miss Such and Such fine. Now, it's young women in there. You know what I'm talking about? Who? When I was in school? In my 12 years of schooling, I had one attractive teacher. One. Black lady. I had one in high school. But now, you got them young girls. I don't know why they be sending them young behind girls in there teach them high school kids. Them young boys trying to bang them girl back, look, and them hoes ready. You know why they love it? See, them young girls teaching ain't no different than them COs in prison. See, ain't nobody paying attention to your raggedy behind. You know what I'm talking about? And you got all these young boys. Ain't nobody paying attention to you. So because ain't nobody paying attention to you and you getting all this attention, it's inflating your ego. Because everybody in this room know that women love attention. Can't get enough of it. You know what I'm talking about? Who? Don't look like that. Ain't a woman on this earth don't like attention. Not like women do. Not like women do. Not at all. When you talking about attention, you're not talking about, that is not normal. For a man to desire attention like a woman, come on, man. Women want attention. You know what I'm talking about? Men don't buy push-up bras. You know what I'm saying? Men don't buy all this. Niggas don't wear heels to court attention. Women dress for the purpose of getting attention. They don't even want the nigga who's paying attention to them to talk to them. I know women who done went out the door looking like a whore just to get attention. Didn't even want the niggas who were trying to holler at them to holler at them. They don't even want, they just want attention. They want non-sexual attention. They want attention. That's why women are sit and talk on the phone with niggas who they have no intentions of being with because they like the attention. A nigga's not finna sit and talk on the phone from attention from a woman he don't want to be with. No. Men don't do that. Men don't do that. From hoes, so I can smash. But that's a different type of attention because honestly, that's bait. That's bait. See, I know if I put these rims on this car, that's like a nigga fishing. I'm throwing the line out there. No, girls do that, but don't want to actually, the niggas who try to holler at them, they don't want to smash them. You know, but I'm not talking about it, but I'm talking about, I know this for a fact. Women love to court attention. That's why niggas say that nigga gay if he posts too many selfies, because that's for attention. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that's what women do. Women like attention. Look at me. Pay attention to me. Somebody talk to me. You know what I'm talking about? That's what I mean. It is what it is. That's just by nature. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. That's just how y'all is. The problem is women who seek too much attention. See, nobody want no hoe like to be all up in niggas' faces, keep keying. Oh, she's a slut. And let's like my cousin say, and tell that bold-faced lie and say they doing it for themselves. You ain't doing that for yourself. A nigga tell you I got these rims and these jewels on to smash these hoes. Nigga tell you that. You know what I'm talking about? And you know I ain't lying. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up. Nigga gonna tell you I got the rims for myself, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got them chains for myself, bro. I'm just trying to shine. But I tell you no lie, when I was a kid, we ride in the light. Indeed, definitely doing it at BC. I remember I'm riding in the light with my homeboy, and the two chicks walk up. He told me, "You ain't gonna holler at them." I said, "Holler at them for what?" They walked up because of the light. Just tell them to get in. You gotta waste all this time with conversation, all this extra stuff you got going on. Just tell them to open the door. They didn't come over here because they thought we were handsome. They came over here because we sitting in a Cadillac. Nigga, like, come on. I'm like, what is you serious? Man, as a man, you supposed to already know that. If you got some bread, if you got a nice car, you get that there in the third, you was a damn fool if you think that woman approached you because she thought you had a nice personality. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, he fine. Okay. That's how you get simped out. That's how you get played. You know what she came over there for. Better be on top of your game. You looking like that, okay. Play with it. I pull up in a Benz, she walking up to me because she think I'm cute. You think I'm that stupid? You pulled up because I was in a Benz. Because if I'd have pulled up in a Ford Fusion, you'd have walked right past me. You know what I'm talking about? Come on, man. Nigga ain't living that. See, a lot of dudes go for that. I don't go for that crap. I know how women get that. You ain't gonna fool me with that one there. Pull up in a regular. That woman ain't studying you. She ain't studying you. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, no. Oh, no. They ain't studying you. You think all them niggas who was getting coochie in high school because they played sports, them girls thought they were cute? They were rolling for the lottery ticket. They were looking for the lottery ticket. You know what I'm talking about? That's it. Come on, man. Why? Because your bald-headed aunties and grandmas and mamas told you, you know what I'm talking about? You got to get your nigga who gonna get that bread, baby. And that's what they be out here doing. You know what I'm talking about? And the next thing you know, you got a raggedy coochie with bastard churn. Straight up and down. And that's all because it is what it is, though. But you can't, man, no, you can't be around here lying to people like that. Got a nigga thinking she loved me. Okay. You better make sure she do. Because a lot of these hoes lying. You know what I'm talking about? You better make who? You better make sure she a woman of God, because a lot of these hoes lying. Well, you can tell me anything. You ain't gonna sell me no doodle, tell me ice cream. No, you're not gonna do that. No. I've been around too many hoes. They gave me the game. They let me know what to do, the things that they did. When you see a grown man get on the phone and go to acting hysterical because a woman called him, and he said, "Oh my God, this woman handed me the phone." She told me, "Listen to this here." Handed me the phone to listen to this man's reaction. He like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." She called me. I said, "Well, this nigga's a whole nigga." Like, what's wrong with you? It's just a woman. You know what I'm saying? And he sent her plane tickets, which she did not use, and she cashed them in and got his money, and we went out to eat. I said, "Well, you's a dirty nigga." You know what I'm saying? So I've been around some real live hoes. Use you up like I'm talking about like some Kleenex. Real live hoes. And when you've been around that, you'll never look at women the same. You'll be a lot more discriminatory. A lot more discriminatory. Isaiah 66 and 21. That's why I be telling you, you got to take your time with a woman, man. Take your time with her, man. 66 and 21. See, y'all was blessed. Y'all ain't married no hoes. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just got y'all some regular average women. And you got them young before they could get their body count up. And let the world corrupt. Because, boy, you get out here in this world in your 20s, and you get about a good 5 to 10 years in your 20s to be out here mingling with this stuff right here. Boy, it might not be no coming back for you. I ain't being funny right now neither, like dead serious. But this world will corrupt your whole mind, especially for a woman, because the whole world is catered to the appeasing of a woman. You know what I'm saying? Got the whole woman thinking she ain't got to do nothing for no man. He's supposed to do everything. And when she gets sick and tired of him, she can leave and go on to the next nigga. That's why you had these niggas ready to kill these hoes, all that there, man. That's why you got too many simps. That's why I told y'all that a while back. About what you want a man to do, and then you teach your son to do that, and then the very things that you want a man to do, if a man actually did them, you wouldn't even be physically attracted to him. He'd make you sick. Because you would have raised a feminine man and not a masculine man. Because at the end of the day, if you a woman, you want a masculine man. You want a man who acts and conducts and speaks like a man. You don't want a nigga mixed with a little dash of woman. You want a man mixed with a little dash of woman? Not at all, because then you'd be a lesbian. I done told you that before. That's what happens. You end up being a lesbian. And it is hard for us because a lot of stuff that a lot of black women do where they feel like that woman is doing this and doing that because it's the innate nature. She's been taught wrong, but innately she knows that she wants this man to be masculine. This man has been taught wrong and he knows he should be masculine, but he doesn't know how to. He overcompensates and gets frustrated because she wants him to be masculine. And that's why you have all this clashing and fighting because you ain't been taught correctly. Isaiah 66 and 21. He said, I will also take for them priests and for Levi, saith Yahuwah, for as the new heavens and new earth which I will make shall remain before me, saith Yahuwah, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahuwah. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that transgressed against me. Now let's look at this word for transgress here. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and there shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Give me a second. See, also, just to close out what I was mentioning on, because we looked at this before, that's why the book said that a prudent wife comes from Yahuwah, a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, and a virtuous woman profits far above rubies. Who can find her? Because that type of woman is rare. That's why I say on average. Even now when you bring in the word into play, the type of strong woman that the word describes is very rare on the earth. And that's why when you have one, you're supposed to cherish her and honor her and love her because you have something that men pray for. I call you Thumpy. And it's Peshat. So to rebel or to revolt again. So notice that the people who are being thrown in this lake are rebels. Matter of fact, let's take a look at something dealing with rebels. Come over here to Ezekiel chapter 20. Mari, it's okay, cuz. It's okay. It's okay. We just talked about that, and you said you listened, but now you deceived yourself against yourself. 20 and 32. Young bird, it's okay. Ezekiel 20 and 32. It said, and that which cometh to your mind shall not be at all, that you say we will be as the heathen, as the family of the countries to serve wood and stone. As I live, saith Yahuwah Elohim, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you. I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Now, you know, we don't went over that before. You ain't going to no wilderness for him to give you no law, statutes, and commandments and covenant like he did the first time. He did that when he sent his son. Ain't nothing to talk about when he get back here. You think he finna pull you out here and walk you around the wilderness for another 40 years to see if you're going to get it right? Did not Paul write in his epistle that he gonna take back everybody who don't serve Elohim? He gonna take vengeance with flaming fire? Did not Yahushua himself, did we just read in Matthew 13, say he coming to gather up out of his kingdom all that commit iniquity? What that sound like you gonna be sitting in the wilderness getting face-to-face conversation for? What's the purpose of sitting? Good, now let's just pause. Let's just pause. When you were coming out in the wilderness the first time, what were you lacking? Huh? You said faith. You were lacking God. So that means, guess what? You didn't have now apostle. You ain't had now pastor. You ain't had now teacher. You ain't had now prophet. You ain't had now nothing. You ain't had no covenant. You ain't had no laws. You ain't had nothing. So of course he had to take you in the wilderness and teach you that. So now I done gave you a covenant. I done gave you laws. I gave you my son as a living sacrifice. And I gave you apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, and evangelists. And you think I'm finna pull you in the wilderness to talk to you about what you already should have known? Nigga, you smoking rocks. You smoking rocks. That don't even make common sense, do it? That don't even make common sense. I gave you all the tools you needed for success, but then I'm gonna pull you in the wilderness and give it to you again. Oh no. See, we went over it in the past. I can't remember the name of the video, but Yahushua came and played with you face to face. If you remember, what was the name of the wilderness? Sin. So he already came in the wilderness. He came while you was in your sin and playing with you face to face. Ain't nothing else to talk about after that. Ain't nothing else to talk about. Oh, he said he'll take us in the wilderness of Revelation. He ain't say nothing about pleading with everybody face to face. He ain't said nothing about that, because he said those who didn't make it to the wilderness, what would happen to them? He said that the serpent would make war with them. And he also said they would only be in the wilderness for what? A times and a half a time, which is the period of the tribulation. Man ain't coming to you talking about, let me bring you in the covenant. You supposed to have been bonded in the covenant by the Ruach before he got here. Now, why would you do that? Continuing. Y'all willing, we'll revisit it. He said, I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. So he bring you into the bond of the covenant. Let me look at the word for bond. I'm already here. Mari, go back and sit down. Don't get yourself in no trouble. That word is maseret, and it's simply bond of covenant. And we're going to look at it, right? You got Mim, you got Samak, you got Rosh, and you got Tai. What does that tell you? Mim, Samak, Rosh, and Tai. This word is only used in this particular verse.
No.
Mim, Samak, Rosh, and Tai. I'm surprised your face ain't stayed like that. All that crying you doing for no reason.
No.
So when we look at Samak, of course, we would probably say that you're going to grab hold. And on this one here, for me, we're going to say grab hold the blood. You're going to grab hold to the blood of Yahushua and enter into that covenant. Yeah, it's just one baby on top of that. He said he ended up going off. I said, yeah, it's just one baby. And she can go. She can go. So when you grab hold to the blood of Yahushua, you enter into the covenant. Remember, he said this is the blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for remission of sins. So when you take that into account, to be brought into the bond of the covenant, you need to be bonded to a Mashiach. He's not bonding you to him when you have, hold on now, let me put it to you this way. In Matthew chapter 24, he said, what had to happen for the end to come? He said, what is the thing that has to occur for the end to come? Gospel got to be preached in the four kingdoms and the four corners of the earth. So if the gospel had been preached in the four corners of the earth, you had an opportunity to be brought into the bond of the covenant. If you reject Yahushua, this is how you end up coming into poverty and shame, because you're not going to want to take instruction, the discipline, and the chastening. Because that's what we're looking at. That's what he talked about by bringing you under the rod in the bond of the covenant, is taking the chastisement. That's why we mentioned that shepherd staff. Because what is the shepherd staff for? For correction. Remember what he said in Ecclesiastes 12 and 9? Something along the lines. I'll get it in a minute. Let me finish what we're looking at. And he said, and I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me, and I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter to the land of Yasharal, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. Now, when we look at transgress in this verse, it's Pasha again, so it's a rebel. But the word for the rebels is marad, and it's to rebel and to revolt and to be rebellious. You got Mim, Rosh, and Dalet. So this is for rebels. Mim, Rosh, and Dalet. See, this is what the part that I don't understand would do. If you rebellious before the Lord get here, what in your right mind make you think that you're not going to be rebellious when he do? Oh, I see him now. I'm going to get right. You a wicked bastard anyway. Because if it took you to see him for you to do what you were supposed to do, you wasn't never gonna do. You wasn't never gonna do. It shouldn't take him standing on the earth for you to do what you're supposed to do. Mean Rosh and Dollar. What y'all got for that? Mean Rosh and Dollar. Mirage. Mordecai. Mirage. So you got Mean would be your first character, Rosh and Dollar. Oh, rebel. Rebel, I'm sorry. That's what you asked? The English word is rebel. Marad is the Hebrew word for rebel. So look at the context. Not Sean, it's Mean, Rosh, and Dollar. And this one here, you could say that, but you don't necessarily want to use that. But I see why you would say that, though. No, there ain't no Sean in there. Oh, you talking about for the Mean. You could look at that and say chaos if you wanted to. Because what I have something, of course, you can add things in there to complete the thought. You know what I'm saying? As far as words is concerned. Because if you don't do that, you're just gonna have a run-on sentence. You know what I'm saying? Because like this here, not like I say, huh? Indeed, but no, I'm saying like destroy the authority attached to chaos. You don't necessarily get that with shalom unless you put words with that to make that a fully cognizant thought. You know what I'm saying? Because chaos would be correct. Get you hung, I can roll with you on that.
I said,
yeah, I mean, you can look at thoughts of chaos and hang. I myself would just say, you forsake Yahusha and you gonna get hung. But that's what's gonna be your problem. You better hang your black behind and read Yahusha. You know what I'm saying? He gonna hang it. The reason why I say that because we already read Matthew 13 where he said he gonna get everything out of his kingdom that offends. And why are you not taking the instruction? Let's take a look at something. John chapter 9. Yes, 9. What you want, Eugene? And why are you over here? 9:35. Come here, Eugene. Come here right now. Come here right now. You. Put it in the trash, man. Put it in the trash. Little muffin boy, what you doing? So, John chapter 9, go sit down. You're going to get yourself in trouble. And I don't want that for you. John 9:35. Yahushua heard that they had cast him out. And when they found him, he said unto him, do you believe on the son of Elohim? He answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? Yahushua said unto him, you have both seen him, and he is he, and it is he that talked with you. And he said, Lord, I believe, and he worshiped him. And Yahushua said, for judgment I am coming to this world, that they which see not might see, and they which see might be made blind. Some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, are we blind also? Yahushua said unto them, if you were blind, you should have had no sin. But now you say, we see, therefore your sin remains. Now who can tell me what it is that he's conveying here? What did you think he's telling us? He say, since you say you see, your sin remains.
I thought it was the same thing, like he told him to humble himself and become like a baby.
I give you that. I can understand why you would say that, but
Because you are in the kingdom.
so that's the point. Go ahead. You know what he was telling when he say you see? Go ahead. He made him blind because he thought he seen. And what was why they thought they saw? Because they thought they were correct. So they didn't think they needed to correct themselves. They didn't think they needed any discipline. They didn't think they needed any chastening. So when he said we see and they sin remain, on top of that, nigga, you know what you're doing. Because one thing for certain, two things for sure. If you a rebel, I done told you this before. Before you do anything, you ain't got no business. What you got to do? So it premeditated. Them niggas was premeditatedly wicked. You know what I'm saying? They thought about killing this man. Before you can rebel, you had to have the thought to rebel. Before you offend, you had to have the thought to offend. Are there sins that you commit out of ignorance? Absolutely. But what is the definition of ignorance? You don't know. I hear dudes talking about sin out of ignorance. How y'all scream Torah all day long and you talking about you sinning out of ignorance? That means either you don't know the law like you say you do. What's that? I'll read it to you. You go to Leviticus chapter 5. Sins out of ignorance. Oh, 5. And make sure it's 5. It could be chapter 4. Yeah, it's chapter 4. Excuse me. Leviticus chapter 4. Yeah, to a certain extent, he did expect them to carry the Torah, but not because they were in power, but because they were scribes, they were teachers. That's why he says that a steward must be found faithful. Like if you teaching the word, you're supposed to teach the word for the benefit of the people for their salvation. Leviticus 4:1. Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, saying, if a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of Yahuwah concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them, and then of course there's sacrifices to be made. We're not going to read the sacrifices. Again, if you recall, we looked at it in the past. This is why Yahushua said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Because they didn't know. Because that secret of his tabernacle was on him, which we ain't got to in Job 29, which we got to finish. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that, they didn't actually know what they was doing. This is why Peter said in Acts, he said, you know, they killed the Prince of Life. He said, I won't that you did it ignorantly and you ain't know what you was doing. Same thing that Paul wrote. He said, if they would have known, then they wouldn't have killed him. Because they didn't know. And that's the beauty of how Yahuwah do things and how he used Yahusha as a snare and a trap. Because if they would have knew the law and they would have feared Yahuwah, then they would have, when they would have heard all those prophets being read to them on Shabbat and seen him, they would have known. The word for ignorance here is shagah. And it means a sin of error or inadvertence or inadvertent sin. So it's basically you literally just don't know. And just so y'all know, it's Sean, 2 Gamals, and a hey. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it literally means. Because if you don't know Torah, like you know why a lot of us, most of us, are extended mercy in that regard, because you literally didn't know. Yeah, with some things you knew you shouldn't have been doing. You know you shouldn't have been lying. You knew you shouldn't have been fornicating. You didn't really know nothing about no Sabbath, and you ain't know nothing about no feast, and you didn't really understand what it meant not to covet. You didn't really know what it meant not to bow down to another God. Yeah, when you went to church on Sunday, did they say those things to you? But they didn't probably explain it to you to where you understood what it meant in regards to when you were doing it. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that, you really did not know. So when you committed these sins, you committed them out of ignorance. You didn't know what you were doing. But that's why he say once you hear the knowledge of the truth, you hear the gospel, and you go back, that's why he make it worse for you. That's why he make it worse for you. Because your mercy was already extended because he knew that you didn't know. Like when I first got in the word, that's what I used to tell people all the time. Like I just genuinely did not know. I wasn't raised in none of that. No Sunday church, no Bible, no nothing. We didn't discuss that. We didn't have those conversations.
Hey, hush them out. Hush. Faith. Turn around and be quiet.
But they always kill me when they do this in here. I'm shocked. I'd never. You know what I'm saying? But seriously though, like I heard what the Sabbath was when I was locked up when I was 21. But nigga ain't really explain it to me. So guess what we doing? We in jail. Let's just sleep all day. It's the Sabbath. Nigga don't know what that's gonna mean. You know what I'm saying? You don't know nothing about nothing. So that's why when it comes to the word, don't go after that. Like I knew this chick, she told me, I want to know. No, you don't. You don't really want to know because you don't want to do it. Why you think people turn away once they find out what it? Because now that's what I remember we used to be in the street and this lady be like, oh, don't tell me that. Because God said in his word that once you tell somebody something, they accountable for it. I say, baby, you accountable for this either way. I say, baby, I say, he'll tell you that. He said, those without law die without law. Those with the law perish by the law. Baby, you accountable whether you heard this or not. She definitely did. I think when we was out there talking about wearing pants, she said, don't you tell me that. She said, who? That's how a lot of people feel, that if they don't hear it, then they feel like they won't have to answer for it.
Well, you already heard it. You got to say don't tell you. You already know what I'm talking about. At that point.
You know what I mean? But we already know. Yahuwah ain't never said he was going to run the whole play down to you. He never said that. He never said that. Shoot. I remember people being shocked. Oh, my grandma said they knew about the Sabbath. I said a lot of people know about a lot of things. I was like, the Sabbath is not deep information. That's in the Ten Commandments, nigga. Everybody on Sunday church done heard the Ten Commandments. But that's how a lot of brews be feeling. I know the scriptures say don't eat pork, but they be knowing the truth, bro. Get your stupid butt out of here, man. That's not deep information. Niggas so happy because somebody know the Sabbath and not to eat pork, but niggas know not to commit adultery, and that ain't stopping from niggas from piping down another man's wife. You know the book say don't lie, that ain't stopping nobody from lying. You know what I'm saying? We get excited about the most minute things, you know what I'm saying? That somebody knows and thinking that, oh boy, that truth out here. Everybody know what the Sabbath is, bro. I told you, bro, when we was at that old folks home, and I told that dude, oh, we don't work on Saturday. We don't work on the Sabbath. He said, I thought the Sabbath was on Sunday. And the other dude say, no, that's a Christian thing. People who follow the Bible, you know, some Jewish people who follow it, they keep it on that day. And people be knowing, man. It's not hard to find. That is not deep information. Jehovah's Witnesses is crazy. They keep the Sabbath. They be right in there every Saturday afternoon. Am I lying? They be in there too. Shoot, I be seeing them niggas packed every time I ride past them. Yeah, I mean, whether it's the proper, yeah, but whether it's the proper adherence or not, they actually keeping it outside of buying and selling. Because they taking that as a day of week going to witness. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that funny? That's the day they choose to do it. Them niggas definitely knock on the door. I told you I ran up on one the other day. I ran on one a few weeks ago. That nigga seen this chain. That nigga say, what's that say? I said, he said, the tetragrammaton. Used over 3,600 times in the Hebrew scriptures. That cracker did not want to talk. I ain't say nothing to him about no word. That cracker just seen it right here. And he was cool. He didn't want to talk to him. That was it. I'd rather not. He said, the tetragrammaton. You know what I mean? I wasn't going, hey man, I don't believe what you believe in. No, I mean, I would take because he's seen it and he probably aware of what that he like, I don't want to talk to bro. You know what I'm saying? They ain't no different than the Hebrews on the corner. They don't really want to talk to somebody they feel like can be an intellectual equal to them. I'd rather talk to somebody who doesn't know because I feel like, but that just tells me you don't really want your soul saved because it's not a battle. Regardless that you a Jehovah's Witness, I'm not coming here to fight with you and debate with you. I may not agree with what you agree. I can give you my perspective. You can share yours. I will adamantly tell you I absolutely don't believe any of that of what you speak. You know what I'm saying? but I'm not coming to fight with you. And that's what the problem is that's why a lot of people don't want to do it. It's always women. That's the crazy part too. Jehovah's Witnesses got to be busted because they send the women in the field to do the war. How you send women to go to war? What the men doing? The men back at the Kingdom Hall rubbing each other back. That's what they had the Kingdom Hall doing this here. Hey, Bobby, how you been? Your back's pretty warm. Straight up and down. That's the only thing I can think of because you don't send no woman to go do no battles. When you talking about going out there and ministering the word, bro, and for lack of a better term, that's the battlefield because you in a battle for souls. You know what I'm saying? And you don't send no woman to go do that type of work. That's not her place. You know what I'm talking about? She not cut for that. I remember the Mormons knocked on the door when me and Nell stayed off over there in Whispering Palms. She stayed in the house. That nigga was looking through the peephole. I bashed the Mormons' whole head up. And I only did it because they got disrespectful. He said, I'm from the tribe of Gad. I said, oh, that's interesting, sir. Do you have any way to verify that? And he got offended. He got offended. But it is what it is. You don't send no woman to go preach no word. No, man, that ain't right. It just ain't right. You know what I'm talking about? Because what she gonna do? And the women be out there by themselves. You know what I'm saying? So how she gonna fight off a couple niggas? They get mad. You stupid Jehovah Witness. Bah! Now she slapped in the back of the mouth. Who gonna be there to help her? He ain't gonna be there to help her because he said I ain't got nothing to do with it. Like this here. I can't believe it. He slappeth me. That junk ain't cool. But I will say for the most part, a lot of them Jehovah Witness women carry themselves with a strong level of decorum. One thing I can notice, they're not gonna argue with you. They gonna slide. They gonna slide. Even the men, they can go back and forth. They ain't gonna sit there with you too long. You go to talk about pulling out chairs. Let's sit down and go through scripture. Sir, we need to be moving on. They gonna slide. They gonna slide. They gonna slide. They ain't gonna sit there. No, they ain't gonna sit there and go back and forth.
They have a script going on the line.
Yeah, they gonna slide. They gonna slide. But hold on, where we at? Come back to Proverbs. Come back to Job 29. No, they ain't gonna sit there and go back and forth with you. They were getting little Stanley ready. So Stanley was gonna be walking out there with his nice suit on. Let me tell you about Jehovah. You know what I'm saying? He'd have had his That's crazy though. They can see the Jehovah's Witnesses and run. Now listen, you know what the crazy part is? What if they really had the truth? Good grief. No, I'm just talking about how people feel because they so aggressive. They nice aggressive. Because they aggressively pursue. They won't aggressively debate, but they will aggressively pursue. They will come to your house. Don't tell them you can come back. Don't tell them you can come back. Deep. If they came too deep, and that's crazy too, because they send them out like the script, 2x2s. Sometimes it be 4x4s. Number women. Boy, they pulled up in the neighborhood one day, boy, they jumped out. They parked in 2-3 cars and jumped out. I said, boy, they wild with it. They jumped out like they were finna pull a who ride on somebody. Where we was at in Job 29, man? We was in verse 4. He says, as I was in the days of my youth and the secret of Elohim was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter and the rock poured me out rivers of oil. That should take you back to what happened in the wilderness. Take you back to when Paul said, we all drank from the same spiritual drink, from the same rock, that rock being Mashiach. When I went out to the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the street, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained talking and laid their hands on their mouth. You notice that every time the Lord opened his mouth, what ended up happening? Everybody stopped talking. Matter of fact, at the end of Matthew chapter 7, they said that he didn't teach them like the scribes did, but he taught as one having authority. He said the nobles held their shalom and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. Listen what he said. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me. Notice what it said. When the ear heard me, it blessed me. And that takes us back to faith, because you know it's going to say Shema there. See, when you hear the gospel, the first thing that I would think you should do is your heart should bless Yahuwah. Because if you hear Yahushua, what did you just hear? The loving kindness of Yahuwah. That's what you heard. See, other people hear, oh man, look at that deep information. But you should have heard that man loved us. That's why, again, just reiterating back to what we stated before, that's why he consistently tells a man to love his wife in that fashion. Because when you do, then they know that Yahuwah is the living Elohim. Because he wants you to do what he did for his wife. This is what he instructs and teaches his household. This is how I want you to behave. And not only did he tell you that, he showed you that. He's saying, when I saw me, it gave witness to me. Now let's say this here, right? Did not Peter say that we were eyewitnesses of his majesty? Did not, when Paul's eyes were open, he saw the Lord, and what did he go do? Get wit. And notice that your eyes cannot be open until your ears hear it. Once your ears hear it, then your heart blesses him and you believe it, and then you can give witness. That's why a lot of people should not be speaking on the word, because they haven't heard of him. Therefore, they haven't blessed him. So how could you see him to give witness of him? Because at the end of the day, it's about him. Like I told you last night, I was listening to them dudes debate, because I don't always have time to hear what Sal have, just because of time constraints. You know what I'm saying? But when that dude laid out the 7 key components of the word and never mentioned Yahushua one time, that's a sad state of affairs. That's a sad state of affairs. Not one time did he mention the man who the whole book is about and who the whole book is centered on. So guess what? Ain't nobody wasn't gonna come down and sacrifice themselves for us. Not based off our behavior. And I said, ain't no story where nobody else like it. We done talk about it ad nauseum, so ain't no need to go into no detail. Ain't none of them people who they say story like the Lord's really went and did what he is said to have done. Prometheus ain't do it. Zoroaster ain't do it. Zeus ain't do it. Hercules ain't do it. Horus and Osiris ain't do it. None of them did what Yahushua went and did. We know Muhammad didn't. I don't even know why niggas believe Muhammad. Muhammad was an illiterate man married to a 9-year-old girl. So I ain't listening to no nigga married to a 9-year-old. And I know this here because I studied Islam in-depthly from age 16 to 24. A nigga can't tell me nothing about this nigga wasn't married to no 9-year-old girl. Khadijah was 9 years old. This is a big grown, rusty man. You know what I'm saying? You a grown man. This nigga was like in his 60s with a 9-year-old. And then he called his, and you know what he called his vision at, right? You know what he called his vision at? He said Gabriel talked to him, a lie from hell. But do you know where he called his vision at? He called it in the cave. If you study mysticism and all that stuff, people always seem to get deep revelations in caves, because that's some old weirdo stuff. All the information escapes me at this time, but research it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Nobody who served Yahuwah got now revelation in the cave. Who got a revelation in the cave? Yahushua ain't get no revelation in no cave. Elijah ain't get one in no cave. You know what I'm talking about? Elisha ain't get no revelation in no cave. Amos definitely didn't. Amos said he was walking with it. You know what I'm saying? He was a gatherer of sycamore fruit. Next thing he know, he get a revelation. Go prophesy to my people. You ain't come. What did he visit Moses in the cave? Nah. Moses walking down the road. A bush called out Moses. You know what I'm saying? You don't do no stuff like that, man. That's why we take the time to go through the gospel over all these years so you can see what Yahuwah does and what he doesn't do. Then when you know what he does and what he doesn't do, then you can discern that when you come across situations or people. Why you think he tell you you shall know them by their fruits? Because that's going to be your discernment, because you're going to know me. When you know me, you're going to know who's up. Remember we were looking at knowing who chosen and who not? And did you see how easy it is to make the difference? People be talking about, you don't know who chosen or not. The hell you say? That's not hard to tell. He gives detailed actions and characteristics for you to be able to tell. Oh, that nigga ain't got no loving kindness. He ain't got no forgiveness. He ain't got no patience. Oh, nah. He ain't got no mercy. He ain't got no faith. No love of Elohim. Oh, I ain't chose this nigga. It's not hard to tell. That's why when you can see David, remember, the people chose Saul. He picked Saul, but the people chose Saul because they wanted a king. You could tell by Saul's behavior that he wasn't chosen of Yahuwah. He gave the people what they wanted. That's the difference you got to look at. Did Yah say, go get Saul from whatever his daddy name is, it escapes me at this time? Kish. Did he say, go get him? No, the people asked for a king. So he said, you know what Yah did? I'm going to let that be a snare and a trap to these people, and I'm going to give you exactly what you asked for. I'm gonna give you exactly what you ask. I'm gonna give you somebody who won't follow and listen and fear me. That's what I'm gonna give you. Then when he messed up, what did he go get? A man after his own heart. He chose David. He chose David. He didn't choose Saul. And the proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? He chose David. Even with Solomon, he chose Solomon because the other brother was evil. Adonijah was evil. That was who was supposed to get the kingdom after David died. Solomon wasn't supposed to get it. Solomon wasn't the firstborn son. He didn't have the right to that heirship. Verse 12. He said, because I delivered the poor that cried and the fatherless and him that had none to help him. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me. We remember we went over that before. Video by the same name. The blessing of him that was ready to perish. What is that blessing? It's the Ruach HaKodesh. And what did he say you need to do? Take up your stake or die to your sins, and then that blessing will come upon you. You have to actually mortify your desires. That's why I be telling y'all this here fourth is when you have a spouse, a woman. A woman is an emotional creature. She's the weaker vessel. So you have to moderate her. You have to lead her and guide her in order to do that. Because the ease that a man may have to mortify certain things may not be as easy for a woman because of their natural makeup. That doesn't make a woman any lesser. That's just the reality. Because all these women tell you they fight with their emotions all the time on things that a man would look at and say, what is wrong with you? Why are you having an issue with that? That's not that big of a deal. But if you remember what we looked at and said, Yahuwah knows our frame, that we are what? But dust. Imagine if Yahuwah looked at us and say, why that nigga got a problem with that? Why he can't be like me? You know what I'm saying? Seriously, though. And that's why I mentioned that verse, because you are flesh and he ruach. So you're a weaker vessel and he's a stronger vessel. But he remembers your frame, so he knows you flesh. You're going to operate and do this. So if you're a man, you're supposed to know that is a woman. She's a weaker vessel. She has proclivities to being emotional. She has proclivity to this or that. You're supposed to know that and have the ability to comfort her, to have patience with her, and this, that, there, and the third. And that's where the difference comes in at. Because both parties are supposed to comfort each other. But they do it in a different fashion. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that not too long ago. If there's a situation of tribulation coming on and that man can't keep his calm to comfort you, then you're going to lose confidence and faith in him. The same way if something was going on and you obedient to Yahuwah and he don't comfort you in that situation, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose confidence in him. Now, there's times where Yahuwah send comforters and men have refused it. Then that's not on Yahuwah, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm using the aspect of the how Yahuwah do it, and then we're supposed to emulate that. Because that's why he said to dwell with your wives according to knowledge. So you've got to know that. If you know that this woman's emotional, then you have to be able to comfort her in the midst of that and not get frustrated and think why she don't think like me because she's not a man. Because if she was a man, then you're a homosexual. Like, do you really want your woman to think and act like a man? No, because then that means to tell me you like men. Like when I hear dudes say, I want my girl to do everything I do. You want her to like football and play video games and all that with you? You wanted a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, she'll take it. I would, she can't take all you. She can't be into all the stuff a man into. You still want her to be a woman. At the same token, we look at a woman and say, hey, we don't want to look at things like the Notebook and all that stuff. It's not reality. You're trying to shove this crap down my throat and make our life be like this. And I knew a nigga who did that. They felt like life should be like a romance novel. And I'm like, that's not real life. You know, somebody wrote that for your entertainment. You're not supposed to try to emulate that. But also movies like that are made to make men be subservient to women. You know what I'm saying? And all the woman has to do is be a woman and bring no value whatsoever. Because that's what the world is taught. Would you agree? No, I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about the world being made to make men subservient to women, and this woman doesn't have to bring anything of substance or value to this man whatsoever.
I feel like in the last couple of years, there has been a turn. Because prior to it wasn't like that. The woman had a value at points, but it switched to you can be in the streets with women.
Oh, it's been like that since about the mid to late 80s.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, the turn.
You know what I'm saying? To where this woman, to where, because in the past, they say if you go back 60, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, the things were not set for men to be subservient to women. You know what I'm saying? Now things have changed, and they want the man to be subservient. And there's a reason for that, and we already went over that not too long ago. That's the pushing of goddess worship and things of that nature, for the man to look at the woman being greater than him, because that is what's going to allow chaos to ensue. Because that's really the purpose of that, is for chaos to ensue, meaning disorder. If I can cause this man to lower himself from his proper place and grovel at this woman's vagina, then all chaos can come through in the earth, and that's what they desire. That's what we mean about knowing Yahuwah's way versus their way. Then you can have discernment between right and wrong, and then you would have the ability to explain to your woman if it was something that they had a proclivity to that was against that natural order. You could have the patience to explain to them why that is not proper, why we shouldn't go in that direction, why that's not a proper reality that we should try to create for ourselves. Because that's what Yahuwah does for us. But nevertheless, he said, I cause the widow's heart to sing for joy. This is what we came here for in Job 29, and this is what we'll end with. He said, I put on righteousness and it clothed me, and my judgment was a robe and a ditty. Well, if you put on the righteousness of Yahuwah, that means you put on the faith of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah judged it and determined it righteous to chastise his son. So when Yahushua put on that robe, if you look at his judgment, he judged this man to be faithful. We read that in Hebrews 5 last night. We also know that the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. You know, a lot of brews worry about putting on garments and ain't worrying about getting that fine linen at the end. Let's take a look at Revelation 7. It's just what they had on. I just want to look at what they had on. Seven and 9. That's all it wants. 7 and 9. It says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations, kindred, people, tongues, stood before the Lamb, before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And remember, it said that they washed their robes in verse 14 and made them white in the blood of the Lamb, which means that. And remember, if the blood of the Lamb, you always got to remember the blood of the Lamb goes along with chastisement. Because he said, if he spared not his own son, remember, matter of fact, in Proverbs 19 and 17, if I'm not mistaken, it says to chasten your son while there is hope and spare not for his crime. And then you know Yahushua was on the stake and he was being chastened and he cried out. So when you look at his blood is symbolic of the chastening. See, we looked at the people about going to hell, and going to hell is really not the main focal point. But you know that poverty and shame or wailing and gnashing of teeth is going to come upon you because you don't want the instruction or the discipline or the chastening or the taking up of your stake and following after him. And that's why we looked at the stuff with rebels. You know what I'm saying? Because you're revolting against chastening or discipline. Most people who you see are real rebels. They don't like to be corrected. And when you don't like to be corrected, then there's no way that you can get the riches that Yahushua has to give or the honor that will be imparted. It put it to you this way, right? And they, like you said, this is a new term. They hear people saying, get you a woman who gonna listen. Like now it's acceptable for a woman to be rebellious to the man that she's with. And nobody has a problem with that. And when I say no one has a problem with that, that men are being trained to think that that's what they should accept. A woman who will not listen. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're being pushed. And that's really training you to accept to not listen to anyone yourself. Because if this woman won't listen to you, why should you listen to anyone? You have to realize the mindsets that they're trying to craft into people. It's no different than with what the mindset that we always been told, that you're always going to argue and fight with the person that you're with, and that your life shouldn't be of peace, and that you should have the ability to resolve conflicts without resorting to violence or things of a overt nature. Like I told you, man, niggas kill themselves in the hood because they not taught conflict resolution. You know what I'm saying? You're taught if there's a conflict to resolve it with violence, to resolve it with aggression. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people treat themselves in the way that they do. They don't know how to resolve conflict. How many of y'all done heard talking about, oh, you're going to argue with this woman? Oh, you know women going to argue. So you have it in your mind that this is the regular course of action that you're supposed to do with this woman. I realize you shouldn't have to argue with this woman every day. And guess what Yahuwah told you not to do? Not to be with a woman who argue every day. Where did he told you to go live at? On the roof. Because that's not how it's supposed to be. You can have disagreements and not be going off on each other. That's the ability to know how to resolve a conflict. But what has the world told you? The black woman loud and it's just what it is and she gonna snap and you just got to take it and be happy. But no, that's not how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's just setting up a mindset. You have to remember, we done talked about this several times. Like, these people really be trying to set your mindset for you to behave a certain way so your children will. And if they can get you in that mindset, then they can get you to hell and teach your children to go to hell, and then Satan wins. Because what is Satan the master of being? Not only a deceiver, but a rebel. Because at the end of the day, he's a rebel. And all he's trying to do is teach rebellion. But nevertheless, hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. We will stop right there. Bless everybody out the house of Yah in the name of Yahushua. We'll deal with the second half of Proverbs 13 and 18, y'all willing, on Wednesday, about how you take, and that'll be more focused on Yahushua himself, how you take reproof, that it'll lead to your honor. And we could look at that and say with King Manasseh and King David and many others, that when you take the reproof or the instruction, that that's how Yahuwah will honor you, because you will amend the things that are not correct. But again, though, no praise be to Yahuwah Elohim by way of Yahushua. You know, stay firm in the faith. Keep your mind set on the word. Don't let poverty and shame come your way. And Yahuwah willing, to the next time.
I want to